Hey, what's going on, everybody? And welcome back to the Rockman Power Hour, a podcast where we talk to the most interesting people in the world of pop culture, music, and everything in between. And this week we have got a guy that I've known for a long, long time. Ryan, I believe you are familiar with the band Mobile.
I am actually. You know, it's really cool though. At Mobile, I believe they were playing a show in Quebec City that a band I was working with, Psychotic 4, they were playing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Mobile? Who's Mobile? And why do they get to headline today? And sure enough, man, that's pretty cool. Unless I'm mixing it up, but you know, when you told me they're going to be on the show, I'm like, sweet.
Yeah.
I remember that day.
Great band, great guys. I've known them forever, and they're kind of back. They've got a new album. It's called Roadmap to Redemption. And Matt and the band, we've been friends for a long, long time. You'll hear that in the interview. I've known these guys since they were a band called Moonraker. They won this talent contest in Montreal called Show Me Spree, and we've been friends ever since then. I was asked to be a judge that year, and well, I don't want to give anything away. You'll hear it in the interview, but it's a fun chat, and I was glad to get Matt on here. He's an incredible singer, incredible songwriter, and it's nice to see that he's doing it on his terms now. He's not doing it because he has to. He's doing it because he wants to. And there's a difference. You know, sometimes when you have to do something because you're contractually bound or because it's all you know how to do, but it's nice to see people come back to music. And it's a reoccurring theme with me all the time. I love talking to people that come back to music after maybe a lengthy hiatus with a renewed vigor for it, with like I want to do this because it's what I really, really enjoy doing, but I'm doing it because I want to do it. It's not because I have to do it. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. I feel that way sometimes during not very often stints of karaoke singing. I'm like, I hear audience applause and I'm like, oh, right, I used to live for this. And then, and then you grease the wheels back up and you're like, oh, right, band practice.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And waiting for people to show up and loading.
All that
and
other shit.
And after after all the applause, loading back into the van and sleeping in your sweaty clothes and all that other stuff that we look at with rose-colored glasses, but you guys don't. And that's what I like about this interview, because you guys talked about how things can suck, and I loved it.
Yeah.
As a music person who's been playing for years and all that, I found this interview so relatable. I can't wait for people to hear this. I even was texting you, I'm like, the first 10 minutes alone, this is what podcasts are made of.
Yeah.
I feel you are singing my song, and I'm so glad you did.
Awesome. Well, let's sing someone else's song right now. Let's thank the good folks over at Heartbeat Hot Sauce. I'm holding up the pineapple habanero. I love this one. I've been using this one a lot. I think it's like going through my third bottle. What I liked about this too, it's not too hot. And you can check that because on the back, they've got the hot meter that'll bring you from mild all the way to extra hot. And this one sits right in between medium and hot. Check them out over at heartbeathotsauce.com. Use our promo code Rockman20 right below there, and you'll get 20% off your entire order. I also noticed you are wearing a beautiful Nope shirt, which I've got to get. That is great. And that's from Studio House Designs. They're also friends of ours here at the podcast. Ooh, I like the back. Great. Oh yeah. It's such a good movie too. I love that movie. Have you seen the movie?
Of course, I would be wearing a shirt unless I saw the movie. I saw the movie not in the theater, and I really wish I would have, because it's got like one of those real scope. That's what I can say the movie has.
Definitely.
Nope has scope.
Nope has scope.
And it would have been really cool to experience that creature with that, subwoofer and like, really deep sound.
Yeah.
But I still enjoy the crap out of it. My favorite part is the ape subplot. I would have loved more of that. That would have been give me a 20-minute short, just more on the history of that. Yeah. But really, really, really cool. I don't know. The movie's great. The shirt's great. I'm not used to giving people, trying to make people pay attention to the back of me more. Yeah. But I'm like, well, for all you who follow me around without my wanting, here's some view.
There's a view. So check them out over at studiohousedesigns.com. All right, Ryan, let's just dive right into this, because this is a great chat. Like I said, between two old friends. Matt's a wonderful human, and I'm happy to see that they have a new album out. So check it out right now. Our chat with Mat Joly from the band Mobile. All right, really, really happy to have with me a guy who I've known for quite a while. I'd say easily 20 years, if not more. He's a singer in a very, very rad Canadian band that is just kind of starting not, I don't want to say just starting again, because I know it's been a while that you've been back, but this record is really, really good. And I'm really, really happy to welcome to the podcast Mat Joly from the band Mobile. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Thank you. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, man. Well, you and I go way back. And I want to touch on that a little bit because I want to set kind of the tone of where we kind of know each other from, and I want to talk about the growth that I've seen with this band and the fact that the band's doing this again. And I heard the new record. I listened to it in my car, and immediately I had to post something that was kind of goofy because I was really fucking impressed.
Nice,
So
man.
I posted this goofy little video that we're gonna put in here. Here, I just want to show people this.
Hey tabarnak, c'est pas mal bon ça, man! C'est fucking bon!
So you can see the enthusiasm that I had when I heard the record for the first time.
That was cool.
Because I've known you since you were in a band called Circle Square.
Right. Yeah.
So we've kind of known each other for
right.
a long fucking time.
That's a long time ago, man. That's like mid 90s, like even early 90s.
It was probably like 93. Because I have a flyer somewhere with my band Slaves on Dope and Circle Square.
Right.
I think we played at Purple Haze.
Right.
So that's how long I've known you for. But
Great.
But really I've known you. It was pretty much when you were playing when you competed in this contest in Montreal called the Show Me Spree contest.
Right.
And I remember I was asked to be a judge. And it was Too Tall Too Tall was the old DJ at Show 'em, and he's like, hey, I'm going to ask you to come in and be a judge. And it was kind of cool for me because I had won the contest. I'd gone off, Slaves on Dope and made a bit of a name for ourselves. So I came back and I felt like, this is my way to give back. And I remember, I think you guys played the first night.
We did.
And you were one of the first bands to go on stage. And I remember I heard the set and I looked at all the judges and Too Tall, I go, that band's going to win. And he was so mad at me.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that because in his mind, he's like, you can't know they're going to win, because I was like, dude, no one is going to touch this band. And I was right. And because I knew right away when I saw this band perform that there was something special there.
Well, I remember that time too. Exactly. Actually, you came to meet me in the bathroom, was taking a piss, and you came and talked to me. I said, hey, man, my name is Jason, and you guys are going to win. I was like, oh, yeah, that's great.
Yeah, well, we could talk about it now, but I can remember, man, Too Tall was so fucking mad at me.
Yeah.
And but I knew this band had something special. And then, of course, you and I became friends, and I started hanging out with the band. I would go check out what you guys were doing, and then I remember talking to you guys, and you were like, "What's the next move to do?" And I was like, "Well, move to LA or move to New York." And you guys ended up moving to Toronto.
Yeah, right.
And that's when things started to happen for you.
Totally. Yeah, I remember. Actually, you were really involved with us back then because that was right after we won the Show Me Spree, and you were actually helping us quite a lot back then about being like listening to our songs and be a consultant, I guess, right? And
I really guess it was kind of like the early seeds of what I kind of try to do now at Show 'em is be there for local bands,
Totally. And you've been a huge support from day one, and that was great coming from you. We felt like a great deal of enthusiasm, and then we were like, if you like it, it means being francophones from Montreal too, from the suburbs. We had to build ourselves a little bit of confidence and whatnot. Yeah. So I think you helped us quite a bit. And I remember when we knew that you Slaves on Dope moved to LA back then, and it totally inspired us to do the same move. And we were actually looking to move to New York City. It was just 2001, so it was right after the 9/11, so that was complicated to go to the States. So we went to Toronto. It was great, actually. The thing is, we were told, like, listen, the band is good and you got some good songs, but you need something special. You need a story. So we and it's true. I must admit that it created that thing around the band that we moved to Toronto, the five of us in a 2-bedroom apartment, and we stuck together. We all went to work and got a job, and we used to hang out at the Horseshoe Tavern. I mean, seriously, 5 nights a week, just hustle and be there all the time and meeting the right people. Then we got an agent involved, and we met our future manager, and then we got respected, I think. And it also made us realize that, hey, man, this is not going to be an easy game. There's a lot of good bands out there. And I remember, I think the first night we moved there, it was around Canadian Music Week or NXNE, and we went to see Billy Talent, and that's the night they got signed at the Reverb in Toronto. Wow. And they killed it. Yeah. And I remember Frank and I, we were like, hey, man, if we want to be signed, we got to be as good as those guys, because they they ripped the place apart.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we felt like, listen, we're going to have to work harder, and we did. And then eventually we got signed probably a year later or something like that.
And I remember, I think I was in the States at the time when you guys got signed, and I just remember being so happy and so proud, and just seeing that, you guys went on to do great things. And I remember you won a Juno Award.
Yeah.
And I remember calling you and going, "You won a fucking Juno. That's so fucking bad, man." And I just thought it was so, and like, when I think back now, I know that you and I and the band might not have necessarily kept in touch every day and every month or whatever, but I've always felt a small part of this band's not to get, but I've always felt like I believed in it from the beginning. And there's nothing better than when and it too, when you find a band that you hear early on and you're like, this band is special. And the fact that you're still making music, you put out a new record, and we're going to talk about that record, but man, I'm just glad that you guys stuck with it. You came back to your passions, and the whole journey with music can be such an arduous one, and it can be such a difficult one. But when people go away from it, take some time and then come back to the passion and find the passion again, and they do it for different reasons later in life, it's so much sweeter. It really is.
It is. I think it's also like, it takes a bit of courage to get back at it, because like when you, a lot of people don't understand, when you're signed with a major label, it changes everything. And I don't want to blame the industry or whatever for what happened to us, but it surely played a part, because, you're part of a big machine, and we got caught up into that thing where it's unreal when you sign with, back in the day, especially in 2005, we signed with Interscope and Universal. Right. So it was
Interscope were massive back then.
Massive, huge. And it was like, oh my God, this is great. But I knew the traps of the music industry too. I was aware through you and people who told me, like, when you guys were signed on the Aussies label and what happened, even though you're good, you're successful, you sell a lot of records, sometimes it's just, you get caught up, and for some reason, things are just not going to happen.
Yeah.
So fair enough. We were lucky that we had a break in Canada, but I mean, we did a really good run in the UK and in Europe, and we played great gigs over there. We killed it, and we were so close of having that deal with Island Records, because the way it was back then, it was Polydor had the first say through Interscope, and then it was Island, then Mercury. But Polydor were lukewarm about us. But I mean, Island, the guy was freaking over mobile. He was like, "I'm gonna sign you guys, and I'm going to put you guys on tour, the Killers and the Bravery." And he had all those bands. So we were like, man, we touched the dream. We had it.
Yeah.
And because we killed it too on the road. But eventually, unfortunately, the business, it's stuff happened, and then we had to go through Polydor. So they waited a year. They never released a record. People got fired. And then we got really discouraged, unfortunately, because man, that's hard. And then we signed a couple more record deals through indie labels, and it didn't turn out too good. And it was so hard on us, because it's been years and years and years of building this thing. And even though you're good, you have certain amount of success in Canada, you win a Juno and whatever. It's just touring and having a great, you're having a good time and making a career. And unfortunately, it's just not going to happen for you. So, I'm over it now. I mean, it's been years now. That's why I decided to quit at some point. It just didn't make me feel happy.
Yeah.
And now it's a different story. Right?
Well, and it comes across in the record, what I loved about it was when I listened to it, it had, and I know you did a lot of different projects, you went and you did a solo thing.
Right.
And you've always been talented. You've always been a great singer. I've always been a fan. I've always called you like you're like a mini Bono. I remember telling you that from the beginning. Like, you're the fucking only guy I know that can sing like Bono. But what I love about you is that you've always got the talent. But man, this record, you can feel the passions there.
Yeah.
Like the passion to write the best songs you can, the adventures that you're taking melodic wise.
Right.
And there's a different sound to the band. I mean, there's a lot more synth. It just seems to have a little bit more of an electro feel. And I was really, really happy listening to the record, because with every listen, there were some other things that jumped out at me. And and that's the thing about your band, is you guys have always been about musicianship. There's been incredible things that have happened with the other members of your band as well, and with you over the years. I mean, you got to share the stage with Chris Cornell.
Right.
You got to sing with Chris Cornell live on stage. I mean, not a lot of people can say they did that. One of the guys in your band got to do stuff with Sting.
Right.
I mean, that's nuts.
Yeah.
You know, that's crazy when you think of that. So I know it's easy to get caught up and to regret and to think, but sometimes when you have perspective and you go back and you go, hang on a minute, I got to do something that most people don't even get a chance to even touch, like get close to it.
You're right.
So it's a huge thing. And I think you guys, I'm just glad that you guys are back together. I'm glad that you put this record out. I think that it's, you know, it's fun when you get an album from somebody that you've known for a while and you're like, okay, how is this going to turn out? And they surpass your expectations.
Well,
you know
that's great. Well, thank you. Appreciate it. And to be honest, you're right. It's like, I have in perspective, because when I decided to quit, I was so tired and messed up from the music industry, but also fed up of everything regarding music. I hated everything regarding music. And I was so proud of myself about like whatever, like the Juno or sing with Cornell. But when you're in a downtime, when things are not happening, you're 35 years old and you're like, damn, what am I going to do? I've been just a singer all my life, even though you're a Juno award-winning singer. I didn't want to work in the industry because I was fed up. So I had to turn my life around and make a lot of efforts and make changes. And I did. And the thing is, like, it took a while for the guys to lure me back into, because they were jamming and playing together. I was really, because we remained friends through the years, all the guys, you know, because we grew up together, and even our kids, they're friends, and we always had that family thing going on. Yeah. But it was mostly me. I didn't want to go back to that and be disappointed again about being in a band and the music industry. And it changed so much now in 2023. Obviously, it's a different ball game, but you know, I decided to do it because I heard the songs. It was the music that got me. You know, it was more like Christian played me those tunes. I was like, oh, I had no choice. You know, it's like when I could have heard the music and be like, oh, I'll do it. It was more like, oh my God. Man.
I know. It's when it's undeniable. It's when it's undeniable and it grabs you. And listen, I can relate to everything you're saying about music because our journeys have been very similar.
Oh, totally.
You know, I've been close to it. You've
been into it. I think you were. Yeah.
I did all that, and at the same time, I know what it's like to reinvent yourself. And there's something that when you're able to let go of it, and really just say it's okay, it's gone.
Yeah, exactly.
Something great happens. You know.
Oh, totally. That heavy weight on your shoulder just because.
Oh my God!
That's all you think you can do in your life. Also the love of it. You too. It's like. I mean, I remember maybe 10 years old, and my goal was to be a rock and roll singer. That was it. Nothing else. Plan B. There was no plan B.
No plan B. I know.
And I wanted to have a career, and I looked at those guys like Police, Duran Duran, and Carlton, The Cure, and I was like, "That's what I want to do. That's my thing. That's not the French thing. That's what I want to do." So, but it came to an end. You know, obviously now it's a different, like you said, it's different ball game because I feel so much better about it now. I'm super happy. Whatever happens. And I think it shows on the record that we didn't try to do anything to make a certain kind of record. It was very naturally that we wrote those tunes. The only goal was to make sure that they're good. You know, they're great songs, and I would be proud of it. And
do you want to know what my favorite song on the record is?
Yeah, shoot.
Can you take a guess?
Yeah. Okay. How many? Let's say 3.
Yeah, but I mean, there's one song that and we're going to talk about. That's the song I really want to focus on because there's one song that I was just like,
okay,
holy shit. But tell me what song you think it is.
Exhaling.
Yes. Yes. Okay. There's something that's going on in that song. There's some melodic twists. There's an angst in there.
Yeah, totally.
It's really, so I want to talk to you about that song because hearing you guys, like, I don't know if that was one of the first songs you wrote for this project, like to start it up again, or from something that came on later. But
it came on later, I think. Yeah,
that's a good song, dude.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of, like you said, there's a lot of angst in it. You know, that's naturally. The melody, what I had in mind was, Queens of the Stone Age meets Jane's Addiction type thing.
Well, that's it. And some of the way you go off on the tail ends of your melodies towards the end of the song, and it's tasty. You know what I mean? And that shows when you have someone that's a seasoned vocalist that knows what they're doing. You know, that's the kind of thing that very few 20-year-olds are doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, even very few 47-year-olds can do. I'll tell you that much. That was a challenge for me too, because naturally I always ended up singing high, because when you have that thing, is like people, that's what they expect from you. The producer,
Sure.
everybody, they're like, man, come on, you can reach those notes. And I'm like, I can, but this is going to be a killer life. But they're like, oh, you can, dude. So, well, that's my problem. But I want to make sure that, it was more like, it's not even about singing high. I just want to make sure that the delivery was so good and authentic and so true that people can relate. Like you said, you can feel the angst, or you can feel passion through certain songs. That was my main goal. Make sure that, man, this is undeniable. This is good. Even though it's not your style of music, you can't say like, oh, it's a bit shit, So that's,
yeah, no. And that's, and I like it because, like I mentioned, like the band, I know the band's always had like a somewhat of an electro feel, but this record really feels like you stretched that out.
right.
You guys
right,
really, you embraced that. You know what I mean? You went hard into it.
Totally.
But yeah, it's good that you picked the song that I like the most, because
Great.
we're in sync.
Yeah. Things haven't changed, but I'm scared of the other two. I don't want to be wrong, but
no. That was, listen.
Saboteur maybe would be the other song you like.
Which one?
The Saboteur.
Okay, so Exhaling for me was right up there. It was the one, the first time I heard was like, holy shit. And every time I go back to it, and I also think, like track listing wise, the way you did it was like, it was well put together.
Yeah.
But I really like Hard Luck a lot.
Hard Luck, yeah.
Right, I really like Hard Luck. I like the whole record as a body of work, and that's what I find nowadays, when you get a record, sometimes it'll just be really like, it's top heavy, and then the back end is kind of, but it doesn't, because the other song that I really liked was School Closure. So I find that whatever, your pacing was really, really good. For the track listing.
Yeah.
But that's the thing that struck me the most, was that the songwriting was undeniable. And I think that's the thing that if you're a fan of Mobile, you're going to be happy that the band is still at the same level. And that was, that was something that myself as a musician, I always wanted to try to do as well. When, even if no one listens, because
I know, well, you got it.
We put out 2 records, since our last, and we put up a couple of EPs and all that. And I'm really proud of the 2 records. I think it stands up with anything else that we did, but there's still people that are going to want to hear Montreal Calling, and there's still people that are going to want, you know what I mean? So you're going to get that, like, oh, they sound a little different. But what's great is that vocally you're taking chances.
Oh yeah.
And you're, when you were prepping for the music and when you were writing vocal melodies, was the input just internally, or was there input from anyone else? Like,
well, mostly the way I write, it's really like, I never write lyrics before I hear a piece of music, So Christian, the way we work most of the time, sometimes he likes to surprise me. I'm like, I go to his place and I'm like, do you have anything? He's like, no, not really. Then we have a couple of drinks and he'd be like, oh, check this out. And he's going to get me off guard and be like, so do you want to try something? And I'm like, oh, okay. And sometimes he's just going to send me other songs that I'm going to spend a little time with. And especially the first song on the record called Come to Where I'm From, he sent it to me. And it just struck me, like, emotionally. I felt, oh my God, man, it was so special. I'm like, he's the only one I know who can do that. And I got to his place and I did the verse actually in one take. It's probably what you hear on the record. There's a lot of that take that's still there.
Yeah.
Because I had words here and there and that was prepared. Like, I'm going to say those words and find a meaning around those words. That's usually how I work. Naturally, I sing whatever, but some words going to stuck. And then I write a story around it. And even though sometimes I'm like, I don't know what's the story's about, but later on, for some reason, I'm like, oh,
well, like the meaning of the story comes after the word. I know.
It comes out, later on, even months or years, whatever, So that was really cool. The thing is, some songs took me like 2 hours to finish. Some songs took me 2 years.
Right.
I mean, it was just like I went completely crazy on certain songs. And Jamie O'Meara, our good friend, he helped me out with certain lyrics because I was like, man, I can't find a phrase here. I don't know why. And he came to the rescue and he's like, come. I went to his house. I played him certain songs. He was like, this is good. I'm like, and he found those phrases like in 2 seconds. I was like,
amazing. And I think it's really, so if people don't know, Jamie O'Meara was a really, he's an incredible writer.
Oh yeah.
And he's someone that was really instrumental in both of our bands'
Oh,
starts.
totally. Yeah.
I mean, he was the first guy to write up. Well, he was the second guy to write a review about Slaves on Dope, and I remember meeting him at our first or second show at Station 10 in like 1992.
Right.
So I've known Jamie for a long time. But
Oh,
one thing
yeah.
about Jamie is Jamie's one of the best writers that I've
he's
ever read. You know, he's an incredible writer. He's an incredible wordsmith. He's a great mind, and he's also a great dude. So when I saw his name in there, and I was like, and you know, I saw that he'd helped. I was like, okay, that's great, because it's good that you're able to, you know, when you're able to collaborate with someone else on some of that stuff. Like the last two records, Kevin and I wrote lyrics together, and I'd never done that before.
Yeah.
You know, it was
you were in charge of it, right? Kev was
me.
music and you.
Yeah. And then for the last two records, we wrote lyrics together, because I wasn't inspired to write lyrics.
Oh yeah.
I was having a hard time, and we would write together, and it ended up being cool. Like we got, you know, it was a cool experiment to be able to, you know, bounce ideas off each other. So when I saw that you were collaborating with him to write, I thought that was really cool, because he's another guy that is very talented and might not have been, you know, he might not have flexed his musical talent, but he's got a lot of it.
Man, he's so good. Like I said, I went like crazy I was like depressed. I was like, dude, man, those songs, I can't finish them. He's like, and he found those phrases in 2 seconds, literally.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm never scared of asking for help, because sometimes I can finish a tune really quickly. Sometimes Christian, our guitar player, would help me with finding a way, or just I would be like, this is the meaning. He would, and he was really honest about being, this is good, Matt, but I mean, this is not great. I was like, what do you mean it's not great? He's like, he forced me to work harder, which was good. And also my best friend, Marc-André, you know him. He's also a really great musician, and he had great ideas. I would play him songs and be like, I don't know what to do here. And he would find an idea in 2 seconds, and I use his ideas as well. And that's the thing too. I like to collaborate on music, is I know my limits. Sometimes I can finish a song, sometimes I just can't, and I need help. And it's great way, because people, they can read your mind and be like, hey, I know what's missing there. And you, even if it's the easiest thing you think you would have come up to, but you couldn't, but that person could. And that made a big difference for me. For sure.
I have never, I collaborated, besides writing my own music, I collaborated once with somebody.
Okay.
I had Annick Jean wrote, I worked on a record with her, because she wanted somebody to help her proofread English lyrics and stuff. And it ended up extending to, once the lyrics were written, when she went into the studio, I sat and listened to her pronunciations and stuff. And it was really fun to be able to do that. And it's nice when you can collaborate and you can see someone reach where they want to reach. And a lot of the times, it's like you said, it's asking for help. And, you know, and I'm sure for you, there's times in your musical career that you made decisions. And what a lot of people don't understand for bands, when things are happening for a band, you know, it's one thing when you're in your jam room and you're just the four of you writing, or the five of you, or whatever.
Yeah.
But when things start happening for a band and you have decisions that are placed in front of you, and you can go this way or that way, it's always tough, especially when they're big decisions. You know, did you like? I want to tell you one of mine, and I want to ask you one of yours, because I'm sure there's got to be some. For me, one of the big ones was early on, before we moved to the States. We ended up working with Coalition.
Right.
Yeah. And we ended up going into a studio with Arnold Lanning, who had just written.
It's Rob and Eric from Coalition, right? Is that these guys?
Right. And you know, and Rob's brother, Arnold, was a producer. He produced the first two Our Lady Peace albums. He was in Frozen Ghost. He was in Sheriff. You know, incredible songwriter.
Sure.
He wanted to write with us.
Right.
We didn't want to write and share credit with anybody.
No.
So we were like, you know, we were giving three options. You can either write with me as a fifth member, and then don't pay for any demos, and we'll just go into business together.
Right.
You can pay for your own demos, or we can do a spec deal. And we were like, we'll just pay for our demos. And we did. Immediately the interest was lost on their part, because there was nothing to get into, you know. But I remember now, in hindsight, we should have taken the help, because we would have probably grown as a band. What would be your moment like that?
Well, see, it was exactly the same with Matt Joly when we met him. When we met our former manager, bless his soul, he passed last year.
You're talking about Bob Vitale, who is a legend.
Oh yeah, I mean, and the thing is, like, we met, I don't know, maybe like 10 guys that wanted to manage mobile. We really definitely started to have a buzz in Toronto, and I think Bob was the last guy we met, and he was so he was a special dude, and he believed in us also. But the thing is, like with me, he was like it was so he told me, listen, dude, you're good, but you're not great yet. He said, but I can make you great, you know, because you're a great singer. But I mean, those songs are good, but they're not great. And I was like, you're right. Because, you know, I was aware of like the quality of bands in Toronto, and bands getting signed like Bailey Talent or other bands that got famous because they had really, really good songs.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, like, I'm gonna introduce you to this guy, Mat Joly, who's producer and songwriter, and I was totally open to the idea. I was like, hey, you know, man, if you can make me better, then why not? Yeah. And I remember the first time we worked together, I think probably second song we worked together, we did a showcase in New York City for not Atlantic, but Geffen Records and a few other labels, and didn't turn out too good. We came back from New York a bit bummed out, and I felt like, man, shit, this is not gonna happen. And we live in Toronto, man. We have no money, and I'm like, man, I'm 27. This is like, should I stub this? You know, that might be enough. You know, my chance pass, whatever. And we went to the studio. Crick had to start writing on this piece of music, and it was called New York Minute. And he said, like, oh, so what happened to the showcase? I was really like, oh man, it's not that great. I think it's my fault. Like the guy said, like the singer, this and that. So he's like, talk to me about New York. So I just started singing whatever. And that was New York Minute on our first record. So he put all the good phrases, put them together, and made an edit. And the next day, showed up to the studio. He's like, check this out. And he played it for me. I was so impressed by hearing me sounding so good. And he put this song together, and he said, find me a chorus, right? And I was on my way to work, and I jumped a subway, and all I had in mind was that I had the tape cassette back then, or CD, whatever. I listened to the song, and I came, and at work, I found the chorus. You know, I was there. And it's a huge chorus. I came from work, and I went straight to the studio. I said, guys, I got the chorus. So I went in the booth, I sang the chorus. Everybody's like, oh my God. And that was a great moment. And I realized, like, that's the thing too. Some people can make you so much better, and you have to accept that. And I accept, listen, I knew, and I know today I can sing, man. I can sing, yes, but I need help sometimes. I know people that are better writers than me. Yeah. And I can contribute, but also like I'm much better as a teammate, as a team player than by myself. You know, that's the thing. And I realized that from a long time ago. And there's no shame in that, because I feel like a lot of people like, don't touch my song, don't do this, don't be involved. Yeah. Fair enough, but I'm not like that. So.
Well, we were.
A lot of bands are.
and you know, it's funny when you think about it. Like it's one of those moments where you're just like, you know, you can't change the past, but it makes you who you are. And the other regret I had was we got offered a publishing deal when we and I remember we got offered $250,000 for a record, and we were holding out because our manager said Linkin Park just got $1 million. There's more money for you. And we didn't. So we own all of our music. Yeah. But we've never had any.
Good, because I don't. Like the deal you got, that's the deal we had.
Right.
And we did.
Right.
And
we
good.
Yeah. But you probably had somebody working the copyright. You probably had somebody placing the music and stuff. We didn't. So we've never had placement that's been done. We've not, you know, but we own everything. So it's weird. Like I you know, knowing what I know now, right. If I was to manage a band, I would probably tell them to do things a little bit differently. So it's interesting with age and with wisdom, how your perspective on music changes.
Yeah. But the thing is, like, also it's like I mean, looking back too, I'm like, because we almost saw with Atlantic Records, they wanted to sign us. And that night when we went to New York again, and we did that showcase, and we killed it. And Atlantic were there. They were really signing us right on the spot. And Steve Thompson was there, who produced, who mixed Appetite of Destruction, and he mixed Tears for Fears and Lennon. And I mean, he's a legend. He was there at that showcase. I was like, who's this guy? He's like, hey, I'm Steve. I want to produce your record. And I was like, oh, Steve Thompson. Like, what? You mixed Appetite of Destruction and Tears for Fears. And so he wanted to have a go and work with us. And at Atlantic, we're like, we're signing you now. And then the thing is, like, our manager played his cards right, because he's like, then he got in touch with Interscope, and then there was a war, you know, obviously a bidding war to get mobile at some point. So finally we had like 3 or 4 really good offers. So we picked the best one, because Interscope was related to University of Canada, and we were about to sign with University of Canada, and Randy Lennox, who was the president back then, he was a champion. Same with Alan Reed, who was the the NR guy. So it was just like, hey, man, this is gonna happen. Well, it did, but it did not.
But what matters is that you've been able to live this experience.
Oh yeah.
You're able to share this experience with people.
Sure.
And there's a lot of good that people like you and I can do.
Oh, sure.
By sharing these experiences with people, because there's a lot of knowledge that you work hard for, and it's there, and it never goes away, and it's something that you can wear as a badge of honor. So
totally. The thing is also, it reminds me, like even back in the day, and even today when I speak to younger musicians, I say, well, the game has changed. Obviously, it's totally different now. Obviously, it's very different, but I feel like a lot of people are not aware of the industry, the traps in the industry. And hey, man, you got to be careful out there.
Well, especially now because there's less money to do.
People are so like because people, when they're interested, unless they're not your friends, it's fans or people in the industry that are interested in you. They see they can make a buck out of you. Obviously, that's to be honest, that's what it is.
It's a business,
It's a business. And the thing is, you're like, oh my God, they like it so much. Then you can easily get caught up and get fucked around, obviously. That's the thing, so you got to be aware. Even today, I mean, we had different deals with mobile that man, that was not cool.
So now you put this record out.
Right.
How much of this is you guys? Is like you guys have good control on this?
Yeah, I mean, we got involved with our manager. His name is Brian Etherman. He's been around for a long time.
Yeah,
actually, we met him way back in the day when we were living in Toronto, and he was a great dude. I think we chose Bob over him. It was really close, and then we were working with Mat Joly on this upcoming record, and he said like he knew this guy would be interested in us, and it was Brian, and he listened to the songs, and he was like, "Hey, I want to be involved." And he had, his manager, he's got a record company, and also he had like access to grants or factor and stuff like that. So for us also, it was like, oh, somebody can take care of things that we don't have to.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I think a band at the root of it, a band always would like. It's always nice when you can have someone. Like, I know for Slaves on Dope, all we ever wanted was to have someone come in and help us and take care of us a bit. And we were always so when someone would come in, we would almost be like, "Oh yeah, please!" Like, we're so happy, and we'd be so appreciative. But then we trust too fast, and then we'd get screwed. And like, we got screwed over by a manager. Like, we got all kinds of things happen to us.
Yeah.
So it's nice when you see, coming back to it, it's nice to see that in 2023 you're putting out new music. You seem to be really happy about it. You seem to be in a good place musically talking to you. And it's great to see that the songs are at a certain level still, because that was, from the first fucking day I saw you play, that's what I noticed right away. The delivery, the songs, like it was there. You had that.
Yeah.
And no one can ever take that away from you, no matter how many deals and how many bad experiences. When you have that, you have that.
It makes you better in a way, because it makes you appreciate and make, weirdly enough, sometimes you feel when you're younger, you have more power as a vocalist, whatever. It seems I have more power now, which is weird because I'm not getting any younger, but it's not even that. It's really like the delivery that's important. I think that when you put a record on and whoever's singing, and you feel like, oh my God, this is like, wow. It doesn't matter if you have a strong voice or power, whatever. It's just more the delivery, and if it sounds real and true. And that was my thing with mobile too. I think I've achieved that with this record more than the other two. I think it's better because I think the delivery is like, because I've been through a lot of shit. So.
The delivery is fantastic. The record's fantastic. I want to know what's coming up next for you guys. So what's the plan?
Right. The thing is, like, we want to play more gigs. Obviously, we're playing Montreal on October 13th. We're actually trying to play earlier, but all the rooms we were looking at were booked. So we're going to do that in October. We're actually looking at other dates. We're going to do some more promo stuff in Toronto. And also, obviously, it's a bit of a challenge because, we all have day jobs now and families. So, it's a bit of a challenge to do both, to be in a band. And the thing is, like, when you put a record like that, it's still like, it's a good record. So it doesn't sound like, oh, those guys were like just whatever. It's strong. So people have expectations. So it's a thing that we have to manage, find a way that we're able to get out there and play more. So that's pretty much what's going to happen for us. Try to play more gigs and get as many opportunities as we can to get out there and play live. Because as you mentioned, it's always been our strong suit is playing live.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's always been like, even for the first record or all the time, people were like, Mobile was seen sometimes as a pop outfit, more of a pop band, but we can kill it live. So I know that. We have the extra mile. We're doing it when we're live on a stage. So I think it's always been a good thing for us, because sometimes you can hear a really cool record and you go see the band live and you're like, oh man, this is terrible. You can sing and it's just not there. Us, it's the opposite. I think it just gives the extra mile.
110%. Matt, thank you for taking the time to chat today.
My pleasure.
It's always nice to talk to you. Yeah. The new record is called Roadmap to Redemption. My favorite song is Exhaling. and I'm really, really proud of you guys. I'm really glad that you guys are still doing it. It makes me happy because, it's great to find other things to do in life and to be happy doing other things. Totally. But when you're good at something and you're undeniably good at it, you need to do it. And I'm glad that you didn't lose that part of you, because it's evident on this record that you still have things to say. So
thanks. Appreciate it.
Continued success, man. And hopefully we can chat again. And, and thanks for taking the time, man. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Always.
Man, that chat was awesome. Like I was saying before the intro, it's really cool when you guys talk about, but I also love the idea, because in all these movies, there's all of these kind of like, it's about succeeding, and everything you see, you always succeed. But there is a show called Daisy Jones and the Six where this band kind of like are hot and then they break up when they've already made it. I find it fascinating when the band is at the cusp of almost becoming big and then not. Yeah. And I love hearing those stories, not because I bask in disappointment, but at the same time, just reality is so relatable. And I'm just so used to seeing rock and roll with rose-colored glasses where everyone's talking about how they became famous. It's not all the time you get to hear someone talk about how they almost
got famous. I know. It's and there's so many stories like that. I mean, so many stories. It's like when you hear those stories. I think the other day when I was doing my show, I talked about, it was Superhero Day. And I said that story about how James Cameron was supposed to maybe direct a Spider-Man movie in the 90s, and Leo DiCaprio was going to play Spider-Man and Schwarzenegger was going to play Doc Ock. And you hear that and you're like, could you imagine if that would have, it's like if Tim Burton would have done that Superman movie and Nicolas Cage would have been Superman. Like, there's all these different scenarios, these alternate universes and there's an alternate universe where Mobile is a platinum selling band that went on to be as big as U2. So listen, it is what it is.
That is featured in the Tim Burton Superman soundtrack.
Right. And then jumped and did the Anyways, I'm really, really happy that we got a chance.
Lois, I come from Krypton. I got this cape. I fly around. Whatever, man. Yeah. Sorry.
Never thought I needed to see that in my life, but I guess I really did. All right. Well, anyways, let's thank our guest, Matt, from the band Mobile. Thank you so much, Matt, for joining us. Listen, Ryan, we've got a lot coming. We've been got a lot of stuff. We've got some really, really interesting stuff scheduled, and we've got some stuff that's going to bring you from here to there. I mean, I'm talking from like death metal to Canadian rock royalty. Like, we are going all over the place in the next few weeks. So I hope people are enjoying the journey. And please, if you do like the podcast, please like, subscribe, hit that alert button so you know when a new episode drops. And the only way to do that really is to subscribe. We really appreciate all the support, and tell your friends. We really, we love any kind of feedback. If you have any suggestions, please, you can DM us on social media, or you can just leave us a comment on YouTube. And thank you so much for listening. We know you're listening. We hear it. We see it. We love the reaction, and it's fun. I mean, we've been doing this. We're heading into our second year now, and it's a lot of fun. And we have a lot of stuff coming up. Ryan and Jason's big fat adventure is coming up soon. I think we're going to try to document that too.
Very fat.
Very fat.
Well, at least on my end. I'm not fitting in a lot of my clothes, bro. I kind of like just was working for a few weeks while stress eating.
Yeah.
And now I'm feeling the results.
Yeah, but you joined the gym.
I joined the gym, but apparently I joined the gym helper from the office and not the GY. No, that's a bad joke. But anyway, I will, man. I'm going to get back on the horse. Going to do this. but I gotta say, I'm recording in a new room that I'm not usually doing, and I might do this a little bit more often because I feel like I'm sitting in a corner, and it's giving me a new sense of energy.
Well, and you got a green screen behind you, and like you know, right now it's a green screen. If people are watching, you might have replaced it with something else. Who knows? I mean, right
I
now,
may have.
You could put yourself in a room full of slim people.
I may just, put 19-year-old hotter me wearing makeup and fake leather pants. Maybe I'll do that.
Wear the one where you're wearing the fishnet top. I like that one.
There you go. That was my thing for a while there. So I'm like, oh, whatever. Now I know how all those dudes. I'm just like, if I could go back in time, I'd just be like, listen, stop eating sugar and enjoy this, because someday you're gonna have to work for your waistline.
Oh, God.
And your metabolism is going to
stop being your friend.
Yeah. Your metabolism is going to have a meltdown. Yeah. Whatever.
You didn't turn 40. You turned 39 or 40?
Well, I've been telling everybody I'm 40 for the last 10 years, but I did turn 39.
You turned 39. Okay, so you haven't hit 40 yet. You'll see. At 40, everything changes at 40. And then when you hit 50, it gets worse.
I was warned at 27. They're like, things are going to start changing. And I'm like, shut up, future. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, what the hell is this? And all of a sudden, I look pregnant for like 10 straight years. And I'm like, what's going on here? So, I'm a dad bod without the dad part. So I'm a dad dog bod. And then my dog died. So now I'm a cat dad bod. And maybe we'll get in our, but no, I don't know. I'm a god dad bod now because I got so many god kids. I'm like Brando. It's I have a lot of god kids, man. I'm not even kidding. I don't know. People keep trusting me. I'm like, what are you doing?
That says something about you. And you know who? Do you know who I trust?
Who?
Heartbeat Hot Sauce.
There you go.
I trust them on everything that I eat. And this is the pineapple habanero. They've got a lot of great flavors. Go check them out at heartbeathotsauce.com.
It's a great present for your godchildren. Be like, I know you're 3, but here.
Get them the scorpion. Here, kids. Put some scorpion on their baby food and watch the fun ensue. Use our promo code.
Oh, it rhymes.
Use our promo code Rockman20 to get 20% off your entire order. Ryan, thank you so much. Appreciate it. A big thank you to you. Big thanks to our producer, Julia Kajerski. And thanks to all of you for joining us. And of course, thank you to Heartbeat, and of course, thank you to Studio House Designs as well. Thank you to Heartbeat Hot Sauce. Thanks to all of you for joining us on this journey. And we'll see you next time on the Rockman Power Hour. Why do I keep doing this with a bottle of hot sauce?
I don't know, but one day it's going to squeeze out.
One day it's going
to cover the lens and drip down, and it's going to be really cool. And then you're going to wipe it clean with your finger and go,
Let's try that. All right.
Yeah.
See ya.